Good morning, good morning. Here's what's been happening lately. 3 Republicans seeking the party's March 17th nomination for the U.S. Senate appeared last Wednesday night at an hour-long debate hosted by ABC Channel 7, Univision Chicago, and the League of Women Voters of Illinois and Chicago. The candidates, information technology professional Casey Chlebek, corporate attorney Jeannie and former Illinois Republican Chairman Tracy all took to the stage. Here are some key takeaways from their debate. Their views on President Donald Trump, the federal minimum wage, voter IDs, Trump tariffs. Let's break it all down. Here's what the candidates had to say about illegal immigration.
What we're facing here is we care about immigration enforcement. We need to secure the border and stop the flow of illegal immigration into our country. We do need to enforce our immigration laws. And unfortunately, states like Illinois and others are not cooperating with federal law enforcement. I think it's very important, and if I was the Senator for Illinois, I would work to build cooperation between local, state, and federal law enforcement so that we can enforce our laws and have a reasonable immigration system and make choices about who is coming into our country and that we are enforcing the laws.
Under the Constitution, it's very clear that the federal government has the sole responsibility for immigration law, and the state and local governments have no say in that. So I expect the legislation, Enrique, you mentioned, will be held unconstitutional. And it is also the responsibility of the executive branch to enforce immigration law. How they do it, obviously, is discretionary. It's worked around the country in sanctuary cities due to massive resistance. It's not working as well as it should.
First of all, we have to recognize the fact that our immigration system is 100 years old and needs to be a total overhaul because it does not apply to the current economic conditions. It does not serve our interest. So actually in the 22 cycle, I proposed that to establish a recruitment service outside of the country to recruit people to be immigrants that follow our rules and adhere to our principles and values. But for the moment, in order to make sure that we somehow control the situation, I would believe that we should have a special purpose provision that a law is established to follow exactly the procedures and rules, that we don't misjudge the situation and apply arbitrary rules when we apprehend the people.
All 3 said they would support a proposal that would require voters to present valid photo identification to vote, but stop short of supporting Trump's call to nationalize elections. On that topic, all 3 expressed concerns with Trump's call to nationalize elections.
The federal government has already, the Congress and President have passed a bill requiring relatively clean voter rolls, and that's why the Justice Department is suing the state of Illinois to clean up the voter rolls throughout the state. The Democrats, of course, tried to nationalize election law 4 years ago, and it makes me, a little nervous. I mean, the Constitution, I think, is pretty clear that the states are supposed to, are primarily in charge of election. But I don't know. I do believe we should have voter photo ID in every state, whether it's nationalized or not. 80% of the voters think that voter ID is a good thing.
Voting rights are actually at the heart of our process of democracy. I believe that we should make sure that those who vote are eligible to vote. I don't see any problem with having voter IDs. Moreover, I don't think that actually overextending the process by doing extensive mailing in is something that justifies the process, because it's prone to actually fraud. And many times we see that they received more votes than there were people registered. This is not the way to do it. I think we should establish a specific date where election is, make it a holiday, and make sure that people vote just on the day, not that they or somebody else throws ballots in a box for them.
We're privileged to live in America where we have the opportunity to vote. I encourage everyone watching to vote in the primary in March and the general in November. We also have a right to feel that our votes matter, and election integrity is important, and we do need to take the steps to make sure that the elections are fair and we're getting an accurate count and the right people are being elected. I believe in federalism. I think we have a vibrant system in America where all the states are laboratories for testing out different laws and different ways of doing things. I think the law indicates that states handle elections, and I support that. I support the states running their own elections. I do see some room for federal standards. I think there is broad support for voter ID so that you're not voting if you're not entitled to vote, and I do support those efforts.
On the topic of the federal minimum wage, all three candidates said they were just fine leaving the federal minimum wage as is at $7.25 per hour.
I would not be proposing to raise the minimum wage. I would be proposing to peel back regulations and taxes that burden companies, because we want is to welcome companies to our state. We want to nurture small businesses. Small businesses help our economy grow and create jobs, and we want to promote that and not be subjecting them to more and more burdensome regulations.
The focus should be on real wages. We need to focus on raising real wages, not minimum wages. Minimum wages are for entry-level jobs and for the developmentally disabled. And Illinois really recently passed a law that hurts developmentally disabled by increasing the minimum wage such that some of them will lose their jobs, because for some of these people, they cannot produce anywhere near the value of even of the minimum wage. But work is important.
All three found various points to praise President Donald Trump.
I'd like to focus on the things that I agree with. I think this administration is doing a tremendous job in various areas. So I think we have to give a lot of credit to the president for securing the border. Under Biden, we had millions of people crossing illegally, and the president took action to secure the border and to enforce our laws. The president is working very hard to remove regulations. Under the Biden administration, they added 12,000 new regulations on businesses, which are just crushing our industry and making it hard for people to get jobs. So this administration is trying to repeal those back one by one.
We have a very energetic president, I think most people would agree, which makes this a very broad question because there's so many different policies, so many different things the president is trying to do. Foreign policy, there's all kinds of initiatives. It includes ending wars, 8 wars, including the ceasefire in Gaza, working to end the Ukrainian war, and many other situations around the world. And in addition to that, the current administration is working to make for a better economy. And passed a huge, big tax cut, no tax on tips, et cetera, things that will really help the economy.
I'm totally on board with President Trump regarding the regulations, because the extra protections that we have by all these over-regulated industries is actually a killer for many, many businesses. We have to be careful when applying them. If it applies to the safety, then yes, I do agree. But many times they are totally irrelevant, and sometimes I even would ask, maybe we need more of things, businesses to deregulate it, their way of doing things, because it may be a job killers and definitely is not helping us in the competitive market worldwide, because we have very restrictive policies, whereas elsewhere, including China, they have very relaxed policies.
All three expressed concerns with Trump's tariff policies.
I think the current administration has used tariffs to bring certain other countries and trade partners to the table to achieve certain objectives. And I see what the federal government is doing there, and they've achieved some good results for the United States. I am a free market economist. I am an antitrust enforcer, so I very much believe in free market. So I am more on the side of, over time, if we need to use tariffs in specific situations or to achieve certain goals, that those would be more short term, or we would be trying to reduce them. And overall, we're trying to reduce tariffs in the long run so that we can have a more free market, free trade, and vibrant economy for the United States and for the world. And that is what will build prosperity at home and abroad.
The president is trying to use tariffs to negotiate more fair trade treaties. We've been subsidizing the world, including China and Europe, for way too long. We had to after World War II, but we should have stopped it a long time ago. And I think the president is trying to use tariffs also to bring manufacturing jobs back to America. To what extent, whether that would be successful ultimately, I think the jury's still out on that.
Tariffs can be applied when reasonable, in reasonable situations. When we find ourselves in a situation where a country is trying to flood our market with certain cheap products, yes, I believe that can be used too. But if you use it arbitrary, to use some own objectives to maybe punish a country for certain their actions, I don't think is justified, because in the end of the day, it is not just the country that is being tariffed, but also our consumer has to pay a high price. So you can see then many times the prices are translated at the grocery store, at your food market.